Pulling up to the old Craftsman house on Maple Street in Ann Arbor felt like stepping into a memory I didn't own. It was the kind of place that screamed Midwestern normalcy, faded blue siding, a porch swing creaking in the wind, and a mailbox stuffed with unopened bills. Justin met me at the door, his eyes red-rimmed behind those wire-rimmed glasses he always fiddled with when he was nervous. At 25, he was still the scrawny kid I'd roomed with at U of M, the one who dragged me to keggers and bad poetry slams, insisting we were brothers for life. Now he looked like he'd aged a decade in the 6 months since his mom bailed on the family for some tech bro in Silicon Valley. "Ethan, man, thank God," he said, pulling me into a hug that smelled like stale coffee and desperation. "I had to fly back from Chicago for this deposition, and I can't bail on it. He's not himself. The divorce hit him like a freight train." I clapped him on the back, forcing a grin. "Hey, what are friends for? Point me to the toolbox, and I'll fix whatever's broken. Leaky faucet? Sagging gutters." He didn't laugh, just shook his head and led me inside, the house swallowing us in dim light and the faint tang of whiskey. "It's not the house, It's him. Brandon, Dad. He's holed up in the den, staring at walls. Won't talk to the therapist, won't eat. Just drinks and broods. I need you to stay here a few days. Make sure he doesn't do something stupid. You're good at this shit, getting people to open up. Remember that time you talked down that frat guy from jumping off the dorm roof?" I did remember. Vaguely. Booze-fueled heroics from our college days. But this? Babysitting my best friend's dad? Brandon Whitaker was a legend in our circle, a high school football coach turned auto parts salesman, the guy who'd coached Justin's Pee Wee League and grilled burgers at every block party. Salt of the earth straight, married to the same woman for 27 years until she decided she deserved more than this dead-end life. I'd met him maybe a dozen times over the years, firm handshakes, gruff jokes about the Wolverines, but never like this. Vulnerable. Broken. "All right," I said, dropping my duffel by the stairs. "I've got a week off from the garage. I'll play house husband." Justin squeezed my shoulder, relief flooding his face. "You're a lifesaver. I'll call every night." "And thanks. From the bottom of my heart." He was gone before the rain picked up again, his rental car splashing through puddles toward the airport. I stood in the empty foyer, the silence pressing in like a bad omen. The den door was cracked open down the hall, a sliver of lamplight spilling out. I knocked softly. "Mr. Whitaker?" "It's Ethan. Justin sent me." No answer. I pushed the door open anyway. He was slumped in a leather recliner, a half-empty bottle of Jack on the side table, his broad shoulders hunched under a faded Michigan State hoodie. Brandon looked up slowly, his blue eyes bloodshot but sharp, like a cornered wolf sizing up the hunter. Mid-40s, built like he could still bench 250, with that perpetual 5 o'clock shadow and a jawline that hadn't softened with the years. But there were new lines etched around his mouth, and his hands, calloused from years wrenching engines, trembled slightly as he set down his glass. "Kid," he grunted, voice rough as gravel. "Don't need a babysitter. Not here to babysit." I lied, stepping inside and closing the door against the chill. "Just fixing what I can. Justin's worried." "Hell, I'm worried." He barked a laugh that didn't reach his eyes. "Worried about what? A washed-up old man who couldn't keep his wife happy? Save it for the Hallmark Channel." I didn't flinch. Instead, I grabbed a chair from the corner and sat across from him, close enough to smell the bourbon on his breath, but not invading his space. "Look, I've been through my own shit. Dad split when I was 12, Mom worked doubles at the diner. I know what it feels like when the ground drops out. You don't have to talk. But I'm here. Beer? Coffee? Want me to mow the lawn or something?" For a long moment, he just stared, like he was trying to figure out if I was real. Then, surprisingly, he nodded toward the kitchen. "Beer's in the fridge. And call me Brandon. Mr. Whitaker makes me feel like I'm back in the principal's office." That first night set the tone. Awkward silences broken by small talk about the Lions' crappy season or the neighbor's yapping dog. I crashed on the guest room couch, listening to the house settle around us, and wondered what the hell I'd signed up for. By morning, the rain had cleared, leaving a crisp November chill that bit through my flannel. I found Brandon in the garage, tinkering with an old Chevy carburetor, grease up to his elbows. He didn't acknowledge me at first, just handed over a rag and a socket wrench without a word. We worked in tandem, the kind of rhythm you don't force, and by noon, the engine purred like new. Not bad, kid, he said, wiping his brow. You got hands for this. Comes with the territory, I replied, flexing my own oil-streaked fingers. I'd been a mechanic since dropping out of community college. Steady work, no drama. Unlike my love life, which was a revolving door of bar hookups and ghosted grinder dates. Coming out at 19 hadn't been the fireworks everyone promised. In a town like this, it was more like a shrug from friends and radio silence from family. Justin knew, of course, supported me like the champ he was. But I'd kept things light. No deep dives into the loneliness that crept in on quiet nights. That afternoon, we cracked open a couple of micros from the local brewery, sitting on the porch steps as the sun dipped low. Brandon talked a little about the divorce papers hitting his desk like a sucker punch, about how he'd poured everything into that family, only to watch it evaporate. 27 years, he muttered, staring at the empty street. Built this life brick by brick, and she says it's stifling. What the hell does that even mean? I listened, nodding, the beer warming my gut. There was something magnetic about him in that vulnerability, the way his voice softened on the edges, the flicker of pain behind that tough guy facade. When he finally trailed off, I said, "Doesn't make it your fault, Brandon. People change. Or maybe they were never who you thought." He turned to me then, really looked, and for a split second, the air thickened, charged like before a storm. "Yeah? And what about you, Ethan? What's your excuse for sticking around a mess like this?" I shrugged, heart thudding a little too hard. "Loyalty, I guess. And maybe I see a little of myself in you." He held my gaze a beat too long, then clinked his bottle against mine. To loyalty, then, and not screwing it up. That night, Justin called, his voice brighter. "How's the old man? He eat anything?" "Ate like a horse after we fixed the Chevy," I reported, glancing at Brandon in the next room, flipping channels on the TV. "We're good. Go crush that deposition. You're the best, Etho, you big." As I hung up, Brandon wandered in, 2 fresh beers in hand. "The warden checking in?" I laughed. "Something like that." We settled into an easy routine over the next few days. Mornings wrenching on projects in the garage, afternoons hiking the trails around Huron River, where the leaves crunched underfoot in fiery reds and golds. He'd grill steaks on the back patio, and I'd handle the sides, trading stories about our screw-ups. I told him about the time I totaled my first car joyriding with Justin. He shared how he'd blown his knee in the state semis, ending his college scholarship dreams. Laughter came easier, the silences less heavy. But there were moments, fleeting, electric, that threw me off balance. Like when he'd brush past me in the kitchen, his hand lingering on my shoulder, or the way his eyes would trace my face during a lull in conversation, searching for something unspoken. I chalked it up to the booze, the isolation, the raw edges of his grief. Straight guys get weird when they're hurting. It's human. Still, I found myself lingering too, drawn to the quiet strength in him, the way he carried his pain like an old war wound. On the 4th night, things shifted. We'd polished off a bottle of red with dinner, his idea, to celebrate the gutters not leaking anymore, and we're sprawled on the living room rug, backs against the couch, debating the merits of Springsteen versus Dylan. The fire crackled in the hearth, casting shadows that danced across his features. He was closer than necessary, our knees touching, and the wine had loosened my tongue. "You ever think about starting over?" I asked, staring at the flames. "Dating, I mean. Someone new." He snorted. "Me? At my age? Nah. Women my speed are all married or crazy. Besides, after Sarah. Trust's a bitch." I turned, emboldened by the heat in my veins. Not all relationships end in flames. Sometimes it's different, unexpected. His eyes met mine, dark and unreadable. "Different how?" My pulse roared. "Say it, idiot." But the words stuck, tangled in the fear of shattering this fragile piece. Instead, I murmured, like finding someone who sees the real you, scars and all. For a heartbeat, he didn't move. Then, slowly, he reached out, his thumb brushing my jawline. A ghost of a touch, gone before I could process it. "Careful, Ethan. Words like that can lead a man astray." The room spun, not from the wine. I swallowed hard, forcing a nod. "Yeah, careful." He pulled back, standing abruptly. "Night, kid. Don't stay up too late." As his footsteps faded up the stairs, I pressed my palm to my cheek where his touch lingered, burning. What the hell was that? A fluke? Or the start of something that would torch everything Justin held dear? Little did I know, the real fire was just igniting. The next morning dawned gray and unforgiving, the kind of Michigan November that seeps into your bones and stays there. I woke with a headache pounding like a misfiring piston, the ghost of Brandon's touch replaying on loop. Downstairs, coffee was brewing, strong, black, the way he liked it. And he was at the kitchen table, poring over a stack of legal papers, his face a mask of grim determination. No sign of last night's weirdness. Just the dad again, armored up. Morning, I mumbled, pouring a mug. Rough night. He glanced up, expression neutral. Same as always. You. Fine. Lie. My skin still hummed where he'd touched me. I busied myself with toast, avoiding his eyes. What's all this? Divorce finale. Settlement crap, he growled, shoving the papers aside. Lawyers nickel-and-diming me for the house. The truck. Like I give a damn anymore. I sat across from him, the table a safe barrier. Fight for it, then. This place is you. Every dent in the wall, every oil stain in the garage. Don't let her take your history. He studied me, something softening in his gaze. You sound like Justin. Kid's got a mouth on him when he gets riled. He's got good instincts. I hesitated, then plunged in. Look, about last night. Forget it, he cut in, too quick. Wine talking. We were just blowing off steam. Yeah, steam. The word hung between us, heavy with subtext I couldn't shake. I nodded, forcing normalcy. So what's the plan today? More house fixes. He drained his coffee, standing. Actually, thought we'd get out. Clear our heads. There's a spot by the lake. Used to take Sarah there before everything went to shit. Figured. Company might help. My stomach flipped. Company. Was this a olive branch or a minefield? Sure. Lead the way. The drive to Lake Independence was quiet, the radio humming classic rock, Seeger wailing about night moves, ironic as hell. Brandon's truck smelled like pine air freshener and motor oil, a scent that was starting to feel like home. He parked at a secluded overlook, the water a steel-gray mirror under the overcast sky. We hiked down a narrow path to a rickety dock, boots crunching on frost-kissed leaves. The air was crisp, laced with the earthy promise of snow. Here, he said, settling on the edge, legs dangling over the side. I joined him, our shoulders brushing accidentally, or not. The lake stretched out endless, bordered by skeletal oaks, and for a while, we just sat, the silence companionable. You know, he started, voice low, I built my whole life around being the provider. The Rock. Football coach, family man, all that American dream bullshit. And for what? She leaves, Justin's off in the city building his career, and I'm left with this. He gestured vaguely at the water, at himself. I turned, close enough to see the flecks of green in his blue eyes. You're more than that, Brandon. You're the guy who taught his kid to throw a spiral, who fixes engines like they're puzzles. That's not bullshit. That's real. He looked at me then, really looked, and the vulnerability cracked wide open. Sometimes I wonder if I even know who the hell I am anymore. If I ever did. The confession hung there, raw and aching. My heart twisted. I knew that void too well, the one that whispers you're unlovable in the dark. Without thinking, I reached out, squeezing his forearm. Hey, you're enough, just as you are. His hand covered mine, warm and steady, and time stuttered. Neither of us pulled away. The wind whispered through the trees, and in that suspended moment, the world narrowed to the press of skin on skin, the unspoken pull that had been building like pressure in a fault line. Brandon, I breathed, voice barely audible. He leaned in, slow as dawn, his breath mingling with mine. Our lips met, tentative, then urgent, a dam breaking after years of drought. It wasn't fireworks. It was a quiet implosion, tasting of coffee and regret and something fiercely alive. His hand cupped my neck, thumb tracing my pulse, and I melted into it, fingers threading through his hair, the salt and pepper strands soft under my touch. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together. Jesus, he murmured, eyes wide with a mix of awe and terror. What the fuck are we doing? I don't know, I admitted, chest heaving. But it felt right. He pulled back sharply, standing, raking hands through his hair. This can't happen, Ethan. I'm not. I mean, I've never. He trailed off, pacing the dock. Sarah, the divorce, it's messy enough. And Justin? Christ, if he knew. The mention of Justin was a bucket of ice water. My best friend. The reason I was here. Betrayal soured the kiss on my tongue. We don't have to tell anyone. It was a moment. Heat of the... No. He stopped, facing me, resolve hardening his features. It wasn't just a moment. And that's the problem. I felt this. Pull since you showed up. But I'm straight, or I thought I was. It's gotta stop before it destroys everything. I stood, legs unsteady. Straight guys don't kiss like that, Brandon. And they sure as hell don't look at me the way you do. He flinched, like I'd slapped him. Don't. Just. Drive home. I'll follow. The ride back was torture, the cab thick with unsaid words. He blasted the radio, Tom Petty crooning about running down a dream, but the lyrics mocked us. At the house, he vanished into the den without a backward glance, doors slamming like a verdict. I retreated to the guest room, pacing, mind a whirlwind. What had I done? Crossed a line that could shatter Justin's world. Brandon's too. But denying it felt like lying to my own soul. I'd spent years hiding, dating in shadows, convincing myself love wasn't for guys like me. Not in this town, not with its Bible belts and backyard barbecues. And now, this man, twice my scars but half my walls, had cracked me open. That evening, Justin called, oblivious. Dad sounding better? You guys bonding over carburetors, or what? Yeah, I forced out throat tight. Bonding. How's Chicago? We chatted surface level, work, weather, while guilt gnawed at me. After hanging up, I knocked on the den door. Brandon opened it a crack, face drawn. What? Can we talk? For real. He sighed, stepping aside. The room smelled of whiskey again. He poured 2 fingers into a glass, offering me one. Talk. I took it, the burn steadying me. That kiss. It scared you. I get it. But running from it. That's not you. You're the fighter, remember? He sank into the recliner, head in hands. You don't know me, kid. Not the whole story. Then tell me. I knelt in front of him, close but not touching. No judgments. Just us. His eyes met mine, stormy. A long pause, then, college. I had a roommate. Close, too close. One night, drunk, we crossed the line. Woke up hating myself. Buried it deep. Married Sarah to prove I was normal. But it's always been there, this shadow. And now you. The admission hit like a revelation, peeling back layers I'd never imagined. Brandon, that's not a shadow. That's part of you. Owning it doesn't make you less. It makes you whole. He laughed bitterly. Whole. I'd lose everything. Justin idolizes me. The team, the guys at the shop, they'd never look at me the same. Maybe, I said softly. Or maybe they'd see a man brave enough to be honest. But that's your call. I'm not asking you to blow up your life. Just, don't blow up this. I gestured between us, fragile as frost. He reached out, tracing my lip with his thumb, an echo of the dock. Your trouble, Ethan Hayes. Tell me something I don't know. This time, the kiss was slower, deliberate, laced with the weight of secrets. We didn't go further, just held on, 2 lost souls anchoring each other against the tide. When we parted, he whispered, this stays here. For now. I nodded, heart full and breaking. For now. But secrets have a way of festering, and ours was a bomb with a lit fuse. 2 days later, Justin announced he'd be back early, deposition wrapped, surprise visit. Panic clawed at me. Brandon and I had danced around the edges since the dock, stolen glances, brushes of hands, late-night talks that veered into confessions. He'd admitted more, nights questioning his marriage, the relief of Sarah's leaving mingled with the terror of solitude. I'd shared my own ghosts, the ex who outed me to my mom, the hookups that left me emptier than before. We were building something real, tentative as a house of cards. Justin's text hit like a derailment, landing at DTW tomorrow. Can't wait to see Dad, and you, hero. Beers on me. I showed Brandon, his face paling. Shit. We gotta cool it. Act normal. Normal. I echoed, the word tasting like ash. But how? Every look, every word between us hummed with subcurrent. That night, as thunder rumbled outside, he pulled me into the den, door locked. One last time, he murmured, kissing me like it was goodbye. Desperate, deep, hands roaming shirts but stopping at belts. A line we wouldn't cross. Not yet. Not like this. When we broke apart, tears streaked his face. I can't lose him. Justin, he's all I got left. You won't, I promised, wiping his cheeks. We'll figure it. But Dawn brought Justin, bursting through the door with pizza and six-pack, hugging us both like nothing had shifted. Missed you assholes. Dad, you look alive. Ethan's magic, huh? Brandon's smile was strained, his hand clapping my back a fraction too long. Yeah, magic. We played it cool. Cards, laughs, stories. But under the table, our knees touched, a secret Morse code. Justin didn't notice, too buzzed on reunion high. As he crashed on the couch, snoring, Brandon caught my eye from the kitchen, mouthing, "Thank you." I mouthed back, always. But always has an expiration date when lies start piling up. The next week blurred into a dangerous normalcy, Justin sticking around to help Dad get back on his feet. He crashed in his old room, turning the house into an echo of pre-divorce days, breakfast banter, pick-up basketball in the driveway, evenings grilling while the Tigers game droned on TV. On the surface, it was perfect, father and son rebuilding, best friend in the mix. But beneath, Brandon and I navigated a minefield, our connection a live wire humming just out of reach. We stole moments when Justin was out, grabbing groceries, running errands that stretched into hurried kisses in the truck cab, hands clasped over the gear shift as we idled in empty lots. This is insane, Brandon whispered once, his forehead against mine, breath ragged. Like being teenagers. Best kind of insane, I replied, stealing another press of lips before Justin's text pinged. Where are you? Burgers? Guilt was my constant shadow now, sharpening every laugh, every shared glance. Justin was sharper too, picking up on the undercurrents. You two are weirdly in sync, he joked over beers one night, eyes narrowing playfully. Like an old married couple. Brandon choked on his sip, coughing. Yeah, well, Ethan's been bossing me around, fixing my bad habits. I forced a laugh, but it rang hollow. Someone's got to keep you in line. That night, alone in the guest room, I stared at the ceiling, the weight of deception crushing me. This wasn't just a fling, it was love, budding fierce and forbidden. Brandon's texts, sent from his work phone after hours, were lifelines. Miss your voice. Then tomorrow? Or simpler, you make sense of the chaos. I replied in kind, pouring out the fears I couldn't voice aloud. The terror of losing Justin's friendship, the ache of loving a man who might never fully claim me. His responses were steady anchors. We'll find a way. You're worth the fight. But cracks formed. Justin started digging, casual at first. Dad, you seem different. Lighter. What's the secret? New hobby? Hitting the gym. Brandon deflected with grunts and jokes, but I saw the strain. The way he'd retreat to the garage, radio blaring to drown out questions. One afternoon, while Justin napped off a hangover, Brandon cornered me in the laundry room, door ajar. He's onto something. I can feel it. Paranoid much? I teased, but my hands shook as I folded towels, our bodies inches apart. He stepped closer, voice a rumble. Not paranoid. Scared shitless. Last night, I dreamed he found out. Hated me. You. The vulnerability gutted me. I cupped his face, thumbs stroking his stubble. He loves you. Us figuring this out? It'll hurt, but love like that doesn't break easy. Our kiss was fire, needy, affirming, but cut short by the creak of floorboards. We sprang apart as Justin wandered in, yawning. Laundry day? You domestics crack me up. No suspicion in his eyes, just affection. But the close call lingered, a warning shot. The real fracture came midweek, during a forced family outing to the Ann Arbor Farmers Market. Justin insisted, bonding time, like old times, and we wandered the stalls, sampling cider and apple fritters under a rare blue sky. Brandon and I played it straight, but proximity was torture. His pinky hooking mine behind a display of pumpkins, a shared smile over spicy salsa that said more than words. Justin bought a bushel of squash, chattering about a case he was prepping, when his phone buzzed. He stepped away to take the call, leaving us alone by the honey vendor. Brandon's hand found the small of my back, a brief anchor. Run away with me, he murmured, half joking. Cabin up north. No phones, no past. Tempting, I whispered, turning to face him, our breaths sinking. But A gasp shattered it. Justin, back early, face ashen, staring like we'd slapped him. What the fuck? Time froze. Brandon dropped his hand like it burned. I stepped back, mouth dry. Jay, it's not. Save it, he snarled, voice venomous. I saw the texts, Ethan. On Dad's phone. Left it in the truck. Miss your voice. You're worth the fight? What the hell is this? Brandon went white. Justin, listen. No. Justin's eyes blazed, betrayal carving deep. You? With my best friend? While I'm busting my ass to hold this family together. And you, Dad, after Mom, you pull this? Hooking up with a guy? My God. It's not hooking up, I pleaded, heart splintering. It's real. We didn't plan. Real. He laughed, bitter and broken. You lied to my face every day? Both of you. I trusted you. I thought you were family. He rounded on Brandon, voice cracking. And you're supposed to be the straight arrow dad. The role model. It's disgusting. Wrong. The word landed like a gut punch. Brandon flinched, years of buried shame resurfacing. Son, please. I never meant. Save the excuses. Justin hurled the squash basket to the ground, oranges splitting open like wounds. Heads turned. Whispers rippled through the crowd. He stormed off, tires screeching as he peeled out of the lot. We stood there, shell-shocked, the market's cheer mocking us. Brandon's face crumpled, a dam breaking. I told you it'd destroy him. It's not destroyed, I said, grabbing his arm. We go home. Talk it out. Home was hell. Justin had beaten us there, duffel packed, pacing the living room like a caged animal. Get out, he spat as we entered. Both of you. I can't even look at you. Justin, wait, Brandon started, voice hoarse. No, you chose this. Him. Over me. Over everything I thought we were. Tears streaked his face, fury masking devastation. Call me when you're done playing house with your midlife crisis. He shoved past, slamming the door. The echo reverberated, a death knell. Brandon sank to the floor, head in hands, sobs racking his frame. The strongest man I knew, reduced to rubble. I knelt beside him, pulling him close, our tears mingling. We'll fix this, I whispered, though doubt clawed at me. I love you. We'll fight. He clung to me, broken whispers of, I'm sorry, filling the air. But as night fell, the house empty and accusatory, I wondered if some loves were too jagged to salvage. The days that followed were a descent. Justin ghosted us, blocked numbers, no responses to voicemails pleading for a chance to explain. Brandon spiraled, the den becoming his bunker again, whiskey his only companion. I'd beg him to eat, to talk, but he'd just stare at the wall, murmuring, lost my boy. All because of me. You're not the villain here, I'd say, holding him through the shakes. This is who we are. Hiding it cost us more. But words felt hollow against his grief. I drove to Justin's old haunts, the coffee shop near his law firm in Chicago. No, he'd holed up in a motel outside Detroit. Text from a burner confirming it. Leave me alone. Don't want your pity. My own life frayed. Calls from the garage piling up, friends texting concern. But I couldn't leave Brandon, not when he looked at me like I was the last light in his darkness. We made love, not crossing lines before, but now, in desperation, bodies entwining on the den rug, slow and sacred, chasing solace in skin. It was tender, heartbreaking, an affirmation amid ruin. Afterward, tangled in sheets, he traced my tattoos, voice thick. Worth it. Was I? Every scar, I breathed. You're my home. Yet dawn brought reality. A letter from Justin's lawyer, formal and cold, demanding Brandon vacate the house, claiming emotional distress, some bullshit leverage. He's suing me? Brandon rasped, crumpling the paper. My own son. The betrayal cut deepest then, a knife twist. We'd unleashed a monster, not homophobia, but hurt turned weapon. I held him as rage gave way to numbness, vowing, we'll lawyer up. Fight fair. But privately, terror gnawed. Was this the end? Justin's pain a mirror to the world's judgment, forcing us apart? Then, the twist, the call that upended everything. Justin's voice, not pleading, but shattered. Dad? I need you. Both of you. Hospital. Now. The ER waiting room at University of Michigan Hospital smelled like antiseptic and despair, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry hornets. Brandon and I sat side by side, his knee bouncing, my hand clasped in his under a shared jacket. Hidden, always hidden, even here. The drive had been a blur, his truck weaving through traffic as Justin's words echoed. Car accident. Drunk driver. I'm okay, but just come. Hours crawled. Nurses bustled. Vending machines hummed empty calories. Brandon hadn't spoken since we arrived, his face a granite mask, but his grip on my hand was vice-tight, knuckles white. I'd texted my boss a vague sick day, fielded worried calls from mutual friends with lies about family stuff. The irony burned. We were family, fractured and fierce. Finally, a doctor emerged, tired eyes, clipboard in hand. Family of Justin Hayes? Brandon shot up. That's us. How is he? The doc's expression softened. Stable. Broken ribs, concussion, some internal bruising. The other driver T-boned him at the light. DUI? Thank God not worse. He's asking for you. We followed to the room, hearts hammering. Justin lay propped in the bed, for dripping, face swollen and purpled under the bruises. Tubes snaked from his arms, monitors beeping a steady rhythm. He looked small, vulnerable, the unbreakable lawyer reduced to a kid again. Dad, he croaked as Brandon rushed forward, enveloping him in a careful hug. Sorry. God, I'm sorry. Brandon's voice broke. Shoo, kid. You're here. That's all. Justin's eyes found me then, red-rimmed and raw. You came. Always, I said, throat tight, hovering at the foot of the bed. He nodded weakly, wincing. The accident. Hit me like a sign. Or a smack upside the head. I was so angry. Drove like an idiot after that motel crap. If I died. He swallowed hard. I almost lost you both. For what? Pride? Fear? Brandon pulled up a chair, still holding his hand. You didn't lose us. Never could. Justin turned to me, tears spilling. I was wrong. About everything. The texts, I read them all. Saw how you look at each other. It's real. And I hated it because it scared me. Mom leaving, Dad changing, felt like the world's tilting. But pushing you away, that was the real tilt. I stepped closer, perching on the bed's edge. We should have told you sooner. From the start. It was cowardice, not deceit. He shook his head, wincing again. No, I get it now. Hiding to protect. But love like that, it deserves light, not shadows. He squeezed Brandon's hand, then reached for mine, a bridge across the chasm. You make him happy, F. I see it. Even through my bullshit jealousy. Brandon's laugh was watery. Jealous? Of me? Of losing my wingman? Justin admitted, a ghost of his grin. But seriously, Dad, you deserve this. Him. Us being us. The relief crashed over us like a wave, washing away months of silt. We talked then, haltingly at first, then pouring out. Brandon confessed his college secret, the lifelong bury. I shared the isolation of my closeted years. Justin listened, no judgment, just nods and damn, that sucks. By the time the pain meds kicked in, drowsiness tugging at him, the room felt lighter, wounds airing out. Stay, he mumbled, eyes fluttering. Don't fight anymore. We won't, Brandon promised, kissing his forehead. Sleep, son. As Justin drifted off, Brandon and I stepped into the hall, collapsing against the wall in a tangle of limbs and quiet sobs. It's over, I whispered, face buried in his neck. The hiding. Not over, he corrected, pulling back to cup my face. Just beginning. But yeah, free. We kissed there, in the sterile corridor, brief, but unapologetic, a vow sealed under hospital hum. Nurses passed with knowing smiles. No stares, no whispers. Just life, unfolding. The weeks that followed were reconstruction, slow and steady as a rebuild after flood. Justin healed at home, us tag-teaming his care, me handling the meds and meals, Brandon the bedside stories and bad jokes. Physical therapy sessions in the living room turned into group therapy, unpacking the debris, his resentment rooted in feeling sidelined by the divorce, our secrecy amplifying his abandonment fears. I thought if I couldn't keep Mom, I'd lose you too, he admitted one rainy afternoon, crutches propped nearby. Then seeing you too. It was like proof the family's doomed. You're the glue, Jay, Brandon said, arm around his shoulders. Always were. We just needed to catch up. I nodded, squeezing Justin's knee. And hey, now you've got front row seats to the most awkward double dates ever. He laughed. Real, belly deep. Pass. But seriously, I'm happy for you. Proud, even. Coming out rippled wider after that. Brandon told the shop guys first. Over beers at the local dive. Casual as ordering wings. Seeing someone. A guy. Figured you should know. Responses varied. Backslaps from the old-timers. As long as he don't steal my parking spot. Awkward silences from the prudes that faded with time. The football team? He coached his last season, but not before a tearful assembly where he owned his truth. Life's too short for half measures. BU fierce, flawed, and all. Justin stood by him, posting a subtle Insta story, proud of my old man. Love wins, even when it's messy. The likes poured in, bridges mending. For us, normalcy bloomed in small graces. Date nights at Zingerman's, stealing kisses on the Huron River Trail, lazy Sundays wrenching engines side by side. No more shadows, just us, building brick by honest brick. The house on Maple Street felt fuller, Justin's room no longer a ghost, but a revolving door for his visits. Case files spilling over the kitchen table. One evening, 6 months post-hospital, we three sat on the porch swing, Beirut's chilling, fireflies winking in the dusk. Brandon's arm draped over my shoulders, casual claim. Justin across from us, feet up, sketching deposition notes. Remember when you asked me to help with Dad? I said to Justin, smirking. Stunned doesn't cover it. He chuckled. Yeah, best bad decision ever. Turned my world upside down, in the best way. Brandon squeezed my thigh, eyes warm. To upside down worlds. We clinked bottles, the swing creaking a lullaby. Life wasn't perfect, no tidy bows on the scars, but it was ours, raw, redemptive, relentlessly human. In the heart of America, where dreams die and resurrect daily, we'd carved our corner. And damn, it felt like home.